What's he doing? Let me see.
I just remembered. I wrote down that list of names. I'm discombobulated.
I'm just trying to see if the channel is live. It'll be good because people gotta try to find the chat anyways. Here we go.
Oh, here we
It'll be good. Right, there. I just wanted to mute it. Try to get the chat up in here. Let me see if I can type on this and it pops up. What's up, beautiful people? The beautiful people. And if you guys do have your YouTube open and I see you in the chat, I'll give you a wrench. That way you can monitor it. Oh yeah, so it does. The chat does pop up in my as I host. So
okay, cool.
Small.
Yeah, I'm recording from my iPhone, so I can't do much. I'm just gonna talk.
That's all good.
Yeah, I got it on my phone. Muted.
All right, we got 4 people watching. We'll wait a little bit. Get it started. I know we already talked about a little bit yesterday, but you guys been busy today? Running around? No family time?
Pretty chill today. Yesterday was the runaround day.
Watching football.
Okay. Who's your team, man?
Dolphins made a great comeback today.
Giants for me.
Tua threw 6 touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah. He did not. Seriously?
Yes, he did. 6 touchdowns today.
I'm not an NFL guy, so.
How many to Tyreek?
2. Tyreek got almost 200 yards.
Did you hear what he said about both his quarterbacks? He said Mahomes has the arm, but Tua has the accuracy.
Yeah. Well, he's got to say that. He's there now. He's on the big
contract.
He's got to say it, bro.
He's got to say that.
You can't say, oh, I wish I never left.
Yeah, but Tua did good today.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got some people up in the chat. We got Hitman23. We got my boy Aaron Davis, 80s Collections. 3D 80s Kid is here. So we got 8 people. I know we're competing against. I didn't really think about it, but I know we got some other live streamers going on right now. But
yeah, COG Cards is up doing something.
Yeah, guys doing a little something. But it's all good. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna repost it later. So
we're doing Topps Chrome, right? Break.
Yeah, right. If I put Topps Chrome, there'll be 1,000 people up in here.
Yeah.
Complaining about how there's no rookies in the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we get started, everyone's got their little drink. Everyone's getting ready. We're gonna get comfortable right here. I see my man got his little H2O situation.
H2O. I'm getting drunk here. I
got Woodford. I'm getting comfortable. All right, to all the beautiful people out there in the YouTube universe, this esteemed panel, the Latino Collective, is here. Got my homeboy Brant from Near Mint Musings, Orlando from A Collector's Dream, and we all know James, Elite Hunters, YouTube superstar, future Hall of Famer, blah, 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 blah. So let's start off with Brent. Talk about your channel, who you PC, who you like, and where to find you.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother. So I am a avid collector. Well, first, Near Mint Musings is my channel name. Avid collector of mainly vintage, very avid collector of Harmon Killebrew. He's connected with my family, grew up in Idaho with my family, so there's that connection there. Washington Senators, because they became the Twins, born into a Twins family, collect Seattle Mariners, because that's my hometown team. And I'm a huge Roberto Clemente collector. My wife is Puerto Rican and born in Panama, so that's the Latin connection that I got. So Roberto Clemente is a big part of, obviously, Puerto Rico and Latin baseball and my wife's family growing up, and Panama. So you got Rod Carew. So I collect them avidly. So that's a little snapshot of who I collect and why I collect them. A lot of connections.
Beautiful. Orlando, what you got, my man?
Well, a little bit about me. I was born in Cuba, and I came here when I was a little kid and started collecting probably when I was about 12 years old in the late 60s, early 70s, and just got into it, collected a ton of stuff. I would cut lawns and buy boxes of 1970, 71 tops, open it up, chew the gum, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually, you go to college and you leave your cards. So I left them, never forgot about them completely. And about 15, 20 years after that, I had moved to Tampa at that time, got married, the whole thing. My mom calls me and says, my dad's going to throw away your cards. He just found them. I'm like, wait. So went down there, got it, and found that I had literally shoe boxes, about 4 or 5 shoe boxes full of cards from the late 60s, early 70s. So I kind of got back into the hobby at that time. I started doing little, mall card shows at malls and got back into the hobby that way. And basically I collect vintage. That's pretty much all I'm into. I'm not going to show any shiny cards today. You guys can show all that stuff. But really got into the card hobby and started buying a lot of stuff in those days, building sets. And eventually about 4 or 5 years ago, my dad got sick, had Alzheimer's. I retired. And I said, I'm going to just consolidate some of my stuff. And I got into a lot of the real rare older stuff. So that's what you're going to see in my channel. It's a collector's dream. And that's it right there.
Boom.
And I'll tell you how I started my channel is that my daughter, I don't know anything about YouTube. Nothing. I don't have Instagram. Everybody asks me, where's your Instagram? Where's your Facebook? I got none of that. YouTube, and that's all I got. And my daughter said, hey, you got to show some of your cards. You got an incredible collection. She set me up with a YouTube channel in January and surprised me with it and said, look, I set you up and I'm going to help you with the first video. And she actually helped me, did the whole first video with me at that time. And, I just really didn't get into it. And about a month later, in February, I posted my second video. And I just said, you know what? This is a way for me personally to take a look at my collection. Some of it is in the safe deposit box. You can't see it. You want to look at it. And I figured I'm just going to do this for myself and just show cards. This is the first time any of my subs are going to see me live because I'd never shown my face in my videos. So I started in January, and today, thank God, you guys helped me a lot along the way, and some other guys. New York Yanks fan 7 gave me a huge shout out. I had 38 subscribers, and he saw my channel. This was about 4 months ago, and he did a video on my channel about my channel, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So hooked up with him and Ryan Nolan from Breakout Cards. He's here from Orlando, so went with him a little bit and got to know him, and here I am doing videos and my first live stream. So thanks.
That's how I found you, through New York Yanks fan. All right, James, keep this short. I know your resume is super long. We could go on and on about your channel, your collecting hobbies. People know who you are, so let's go. Let's wrap this up, bro. Let's go.
No, I just find it interesting that Orlando actually got his first shout out through Vince, because he was actually my first shout out when I had like 36 subs. So that's so fitting. And then one of the first people I hooked up with live was Ryan Nolan and Steve. So when we both had 250 subs. So I feel like it's so funny that we both have almost like parallel YouTube channels and the same connections. So that's kind of cool. But for those that don't know me, I'm James Elite Hunters. I like to collect vintage, pre-war, even modern, but I mainly like to collect in themes. I collect what speaks to me. And I like to sometimes just do things differently from what other people do and just do it for myself mainly, because that's how we should all collect, what speaks to ourselves. And good friends with Lou, one of my main mans for like a year and a half now, I think, right?
You were my first live stream. You popped my cherry. Where we kind of did, Mark was saying this was a great idea. We kind of did something similar last year around the same time, because I think, a big reason why we collect is, Clemente and Hispanic in the game, the history, and that's what drew me, and I'm sure you guys, into this hobby and just the sport in general.
Yeah.
So
I'm privileged to know all you guys. And
Likewise.
Brent, I've always admired Brent's channel. He's always
Oh,
got a
thanks, man.
great sense of humor and his editing skills.
Yeah. A little behind the scenes. I'm going just
Very
to
nice channel.
information. When I told James my idea, he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty dope." Like I said, we did this. It was just me and him. Something simple, not to the extent like this. I'm like, I'm thinking about inviting Brent. I mean, the guy has some great knowledge, entertaining. He's like, "Bro, that's an awesome idea." He was fanboying, bro. I'm just saying.
I guess so, man.
No, we just
As a fan.
no, but we respect you. We enjoy the channel. So, all right, let's get our feet wet. I think I saw we had a few people in the chat. We got 20 people in the chat. Beautiful. Appreciate you. We got Dom in the chat. 7 sports cards. All right, let's get our feet wet. Simple softball question. Your favorite Latino that you grew up watching during your lifetime, that you enjoyed to watch, that you emulated, and who do you enjoy watching today? So who did you enjoy watching, and who do you like watching today? Brent, Orlando, take it.
All right, I'll go. So, again, growing up in Seattle, we got the Mariners in the late 70s. And first guy I loved, was this guy right here. So if I get it where it's not glary. Julio Cruz.
Ooh.
He was my first. This is a rookie card from 1978. Was my favorite Mariner. He is from Puerto Rico, born in Brooklyn, but he's Puerto Rican. I loved him because he was fast. And funny story, since my wife's maiden name is Cruz, and her dad's nickname when he was in the Air Force was Julio because of this guy. So it's kind of funny how, I'm a little kid, I like Julio Cruz, and then I meet my wife and find out her dad's nickname was Julio because of this guy, because he was a big deal in Seattle because we didn't have a whole lot going on in the late 70s. We were a new franchise. So he was kind of the spark plug for the Mariners. So I loved watching Julio Cruz. Currently, for Hispanic players, I mean, I got to go with another Mariner just because we actually have somebody good. That's exciting and fun and might actually be good. And I'm probably jinxing it by saying this because that's how you roll as a Mariners fan. So I love this guy because he just brings the energy that, Acuna, Tatis, all those guys that have, but he does it for the right reasons, the right way. You saw him at the home run derby. I mean, looks like this guy's been playing for years. He's got that swagger, but it's genuine. He's having fun and he's good and he's fast.
25 guy, right?
25. He could maybe get 30. He's got 27 home runs now. So that would be cool, man. He's the first player to get 25 in his very first season. Trout did it in his second year. Technically, he was a rookie, but this is Julio's first year. So I'm excited about Julio. So there's my bookends, both Seattle Mariners. So yeah,
didn't see that coming.
But for me, what got me started was actually my grandfather knew a professional baseball player at the time, whose name was also Orlando. And since the Baltimore Orioles practiced here in Miami when I was a little kid, he took me out to the games. And one of the games, this guy pitched for the Orioles, Orlando Pena.
Nice.
After the game, my grandfather took me down to the dugout, introduced me to Orlando Pena, and he gave me autographs of the other players, which were Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer, and all the other Orioles player at the time, Al Bunbury and a bunch of those. And I have that ball still. And that really got me into collecting cards. And my favorite player at that time, of course, I've got to go with Roberto Clemente.
Yeah,
I never saw him play personally, but I remember watching him on TV and watching some of the incredible plays he made, down in the late 60s, early 70s. This guy was just, as far as Latinos, he was it. He was it when I was young growing up. And now currently, the current players, I got to go with Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
I saw him play here with the Marlins. I actually had season tickets the first 2 years that he was playing here. you know, when they had won the World Series and stuff. It was a frenzy here in South Florida. And I sat near the third base line. And I used to shout at him every once in a while. And, you know, he spoke very little English at that time when he first started. And you could tell that he was going to be an awesome player. His defense wasn't that great. You know, sometimes he missed some balls down third base. But let me tell you, that guy can hit. When he was young, he can hit, and he can still hit. And I got to tell you, he's probably, you know, of course, a surefire Hall of Famer, but one of the best players. Well, he is actually going to be the best player in Venezuelan history, or any Venezuelan player ever in the history of Venezuela.
I can see that. I can see that. There's one in the Hall of Fame right now, but he's going to surpass him. Go ahead, James. What you got?
This is the other one in the Hall of Fame right now.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was alluding to.
Aparicio.
Yep.
What you got, brother?
All right, so the first person, Hispanic, that I idolized and admired when I was growing up was this man, Rod Carew.
Dude.
And I had the privilege of watching him play since I was about 5 years old, 6 years old, around there. And I remember my babysitter had a son who was like, I don't know, 15, 16. And we're watching Yankee games against the Angels. And every time Rod Carew would come up, he'd stop what he was doing and he'd watch him get a hit. And the thing is, he'd always call it, he's going to get a hit, watch. And I'm like, why? How do you know that? Like, how can you predict the future, basically? He was like, he's like the best hitter in baseball. And sure enough, slashed one right through the gap, up the middle. And that's when my mind was like, I was like, I always thought Reggie Jackson was like the best player alive. And this guy is like, he doesn't strike out. He's great. And here I have an auto of Rod Carew. I love this autograph.
I love it.
And ever since then, I always cheated on my Yankees in, you know, getting up for Rod Carew and watching him play. As far as nowadays, he's a pitcher, actually. Alek Manoah. I really like Alek Manoah. Nice. Beautiful. Look at that smile. Beautiful.
You got Manoah, too.
So there you go. Alek Manoah.
Love that, Rod.
I'm a big fan of his demeanor, his chutzpah. He's got the coconuts, and I just love it. It's like he speaks with that quiet storm. He doesn't have to be so flashy and bright. He just comes there to work and he takes you out. I used to like Jose Fernandez a lot, but then he passed away. And Alek Manoah reminds me a little of his demeanor, where it's like, I don't care who's up at the plate, I'm getting you out. And I love that about Alek Manoah. I kind of wish he was a Yankee so I could watch him all the time play, but I definitely catch him when I can. He's just a treat.
I got so many cards. I had a Jose Fernandez here somewhere, but I got Pals and Pals. I can't remember where I put them. So when I was a little young cat, you know, I just loved baseball. You know, I didn't really follow anyone. And I loved talking baseball with my grandpa. And I just remember this dude was so big and so fast. I'm like, this is before I had any allegiance to anybody. And it was this man right here, Jose Canseco, Mr. 40-40. I was like, who is this dude? Is you serious? Unbelievable. My grandpa was like, he's gonna be a superstar. But as I, as I got older, my grandfather, I told the story. My grandfather's a big Mets fan, and I was always the contrarian. I always liked arguing and debating, so I became a Yankee fan. You know, my family's from Brooklyn, Flatbush. 40 years, my family lived up there, and I just fell in love with this man right here, Mr. Bernie Williams.
Yeah.
Five-time All-Star, LCS MVP, 4 Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, batting champ, and just he had a quiet presence about him. He made everything look so smooth in the outfield. And this is just a Topps finest, very hard to get, number to 199. And here's another one, because as much as I love his rookie cards, I think everyone's got 20 of them. So I wanted to show some fire.
That's a good
And
one.
just a quiet. I just loved his leadership. You know, he wasn't all rah rah. He was more, hey, set the example and follow me. And,
Very underrated player.
Oh, very underrated. And I mean, he's probably as good as he was as a center fielder for the Yankees. He's probably a better guitarist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He's a great musician.
Oh my gosh. So, all right. So now that we got a little bit of our, you know, PCs, collections, who we enjoyed growing up, I think a lot of the people in the chat got a good sense of who we are. Orlando, why don't you talk about the Trailblazers? You know, the history of Latinos. Yeah, everyone knows about Clemente. Everyone knows he was the first Hispanic in the Hall of Fame in '73. However, the history of Latinos and Hispanics go way back. So
yeah, it goes way back. You know, back to Dihigo and a lot of players in the old days. I don't have many of his cards. Brent may show something of those, but you know, back in Cuba, you know, they had these Propaganda Montiel cards.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of awesome players in this set. And a lot of them went into the major leagues. And, you know, of course, another Hall of Fame here is Minnie Minoso. And Minnie Minoso really is one of the big trailblazers. He is the Jackie Robinson of Latin America because he was the first Black Hispanic player in the major leagues. And he was just incredible. Batted over 300, had a tremendous career. He's the only player to play in 5 decades, to bat in 5 decades. Nobody's ever going to surpass that. He batted in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, it's just he definitely is one of the trailblazers, I think.
Yeah,
you know, but there were a lot of other players that really aren't known that well, but did extremely well. Players like Camilo Pascual.
Heck yeah.
You know, he was an incredible pitcher. He was a Cuban pitcher. Here's an autograph, Camilo Pascual.
Beautiful
card there. My sister got me the autograph because she ended up one time working with the daughter of Camilo. And, you know, with him also pitched players like Pedro Ramos. And you can see here them together.
Yeah.
You know, some awesome players that people forget about. You know, people like this guy, Tony Taylor. You look at him, Tony Taylor was an incredible player. You know, and you have tons of these guys that people really, that really were trailblazers. Felipe Alou. You know, guys like that really are, again, underrated players in those days. But they were the ones that really got things going along with, along with Aparicio, you know, and players like that. So you really got to look at that. And that's really where it started, back in the 50s and 60s. And from there, you know, you have Marichals and Carews and all of these other guys that came in after that. And especially another big trailblazer was Orlando Cepeda.
Pride of Ponce.
You know, he was also someone that people didn't know how good he was, but he was the home run champ. And Roger Maris was a champ, American League. He was a National League home run champ.
Got to show him. Got your Cepedas.
Got to show him.
You want to show the 58s? We got the 58s, right?
It's like we practice or something, right?
We got tons of them we could show.
Dude, let's go.
You know,
Howard is doing Cepedas.
Well, here's the 61.
Yeah. Nice.
Beautiful.
61 there.
Yeah, I think everyone's got a lot of Cepeda autos. Poor guy.
Some guy named Mays. I don't know who that is, but Cepeda's on this card.
Yeah.
Got a couple Cepeda autos.
He's still signing, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
man. They're still signing.
Yeah, he is.
You can tell it's not easy for him.
God bless him. Here's a bat.
Right?
So
I still got to go back to, you know, Clemente. He was really, for Hispanics in that era, he was the man. He was just it. Everybody else played, but he was the one that was way and above everybody else.
Yeah.
So to me, those are the real Trailblazers. Some of the players there.
No, you're correct. You're correct. I think Brent's got some of the first. I'll let you speak. I'll let you go.
All right. So I'm going to show you 3 Trailblazers. One I did in a recent video, so I'll show that one first. This is Miguel Gonzalez. This is his 1928 Tharps ice cream. His claim to fame is he ended up being the first Latino manager in the big leagues. That was when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Let me highlight there we go.
Did the last few games of the season with the Gas House gang. Yeah, because they fired the manager. So he took over for the last few games of the season. So that's a Trailblazer, yeah. Next one is not an old card, but it is an autograph of Emilio Navarro.
Oh, wow.
And his claim to fame is he is the first Puerto Rican to play in the Negro Leagues.
Really?
So this is kind of cool. Yeah, so his I'm reading the back of it real quick. He's played in first Puerto Rican to play in the Negro Leagues from 1928. He was on the Cuban Stars East. He's a Puerto Rican Hall of Famer, so I got that autograph of him. So he's a Trailblazer, especially for Puerto Ricans. So
what card is that? Is that card?
It's just a postcard. I don't really what it is. Let me show the back of it.
Almost looks like a Perez Steel.
Yeah, it's like a Perez Steel. Man, that glare is terrible. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to get that where it's not glaring. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's a Perez Steel. It's my buddy Dustin Abraham slabbed this for me. It's an oil painting by Ron Lewis. It's numbered 509 out of 10,000. So it's very much like a Perez Steel.
I love that. That's dope.
Nice.
And then the last guy I'll show is the first Latin pitcher and one of the first Cubanos to ever play, and that is Adolfo Luque.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here he is in his. Let me get this without the glare. Let me turn it a little like that. That might work. Here's his 1933 Gaudi, Adolfo Luque. He played for I think he broke in 1917. Don't quote me on that. And he actually played in the against the Black Sox in 1919 against when he was with the Reds. So he pitched. He's the first, and here is an exhibit with an actual on-card auto.
Oh, that's nice.
This is one of my favorite cards I own. It's just a gorgeous picture of him with an on-card auto.
Beautiful.
I'm falling in love with this.
He was the first Latin pitcher to pitch in a World Series. He was the first Latin pitcher and also the first Latin pitcher in a World Series. So that's his claim to fame. So that's three Trailblazers for you, a little pre-war action.
Nice.
He was Cubano. Emilio was Puerto Rican, and Miguel Gonzalez was also Cubano. I think Miguel Gonzalez and Adolfo played together with the Reds. So they came over together. Literally, I think they came over on the same boat. Now, Adolfo was able to play because back then he was fair-skinned, so he was allowed to play, because if you were dark-skinned, you couldn't play in the major leagues. But he looked okay, right? He wasn't threatening because he wasn't dark enough. Too dark, I mean. So he was able to play. So there was a handful of Latin players that were able to play in the early 1900s up until Jackie Robinson broke the barrier.
Yeah, there was one Rafael Almeida.
Almeida
also played in the early 1900s. I've got a 1909 card of his. I don't have it with me, but he played. Wow. Yeah, there's a few others like that played.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, James, what you got, homie?
I have one Trailblazer. And this is Emilio Palmero. He's a Cuban. This is the Aguilitas set. And he actually played from 1915 to 1928 for 4 different teams: the Giants, the Washington Senators, the Boston Braves, the Browns. He was a reliever. And what he did was he played for the Cuban League, and he would sometimes, because in Cuba, they would play throughout the wintertime, because that's the summer in South America. And then when it's the off season, he'd come here and play in the major leagues. And then when the Cuban League started up again, he'd go back over there. So he was almost like a hired gun. And he didn't have like a really great career in the major leagues. And he played sporadically. It was like he'll play a year or two, take a few years off, then play another few years. So I think he has like 6 seasons out of 13 seasons that he played in a whole. But this Aguilita set is popular for having boxers and ball players. And it's the one that I have. As far as Trailblazers, I know as a Colombian, I have a lot of pride because I'm Colombian, that the first ever baseball player is from Medellin, Colombia. And his name is Luis Miguel Castro. He played in 1902 for the Philadelphia Athletics. Connie Mack signed him out of Cuban League that was started in the Bronx. They had an organized Cuban League in New York. And it served almost like a minor leagues for the major leagues. They would always pluck out players from there if they were fair-skinned. If they were dark-skinned, like, too much like on the black side, they were like, nope, we can't. You might be good, but we're just not going to open up that can of worms. But if they were fair-skinned, people like Emilio and Luis Castro, they signed them. And they would get in, play. Players like who Brent showed. And it's tough because I guess Hispanics got a pass for not being so dark. And, it is what it is. But Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, but Latins were playing since 1902 in the major leagues. And they went under the radar. It went under the radar. So I find that pretty amazing. So Colombiano, 1902, first baseball player ever from Colombia.
This is what I'm saying. It goes back to the beginning of the game. You know what I'm saying? So with that, the Trailblazers, let's talk about the man who kicked down that door to the Hall of Fame. Roberto Clemente. Let me.
If he trills his R, you got to drink. The drinking game.
Let's get.
Salud.
Clemente.
Salud. Wait, can you roll your R's, Brent?
No.
Come on. You got to
Dude,
do it.
come on.
No.
We're going to put that mojo on you.
Hey, man. I'm Latino by proxy, but no, it don't work that way.
Give the people what they want.
Roberto, you got to practice, Brent. Next slide.
I have for 27 years. So. It ain't happening, man.
Well, I want to do. Obviously, we want to talk about Clemente, and we're going to get into this Hall of Fame. Some of our favorite Hall of Famers. Throw up some of our favorite cards for the Hall of Fame. So let's start with the man. I wanted to do something a little different. I've shown a whole bunch. I just did a Topps run. Everyone saw it. Hopefully, people saw it. But here's an exhibit of the man, the 15-time All-Star, World Series MVP. Gold Glover, 317 career batting average, 3,000 hits. Here's 1 to 10. It's a little medallion joint, but it's hard to get. And the funny thing is this is all new stuff. Well, except for the exhibit. Because I got the serial cards, but I figured you guys had some stuff. I wanted you guys to show that stuff. So I figured I'd show some stuff that a lot of people might not have seen in my collection. Nice. This was actually my first funny story. When the card company started putting bats into cards and products, I'm like, they're buying a baseball bat from Clemente and they're chopping it up. I was outraged. And till I got my first bat card, I'm like, I would never be able to. I was in college.
Now you're good.
And this is my first bat card of Clemente. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. This is my favorite card for the longest time in my collection because, Clemente held that bat. So I was like enthralled. Right. So Clemente, to a lot of us was the world. I fell in love with Clemente when I was in 6th grade, just the humanitarian that he was, the way he died, his legend, and how people still speak of him today in my family, back on the island. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's important to do streams like this, talk about how one man pretty much impacted, so many lives and the sport. where they still recognize him today. So Clemente, first Hispanic in the Hall of Fame, kick down that door. You guys can start off with Clemente, or you could go to your favorite Hall of Famer or any Hall of Famer that you enjoy collecting. Brent, you want to take it away?
Yeah, man. I'll show Roberto. I just got is this cool museum collection. It's a 101, actually. It's the actual sketch card of Roberto. This is from 21 Topps Museum. Just a beautiful. Some of those can be, in my opinion, museum can be a little wonky when you have sketch cards. So once you get one that looks really good, it's like I had to get this one. So, and back in 2019, before I get to the player I want to talk about, as far as Roberto, we went to Puerto Rico in 2019. And my wife's family is from the south part of the island in Yelco, which is just west of Ponce. So Orlando Cepeda is obviously Orlando Cepeda, Roberto Alomar. The Alomars are all from Ponce. But you can't turn anywhere in Puerto Rico without seeing something either named Clemente, his face on it. It's everywhere, and it's a beautiful thing, as well it should be. I mean, he's one of those players that transcends sports, especially in his home country of Puerto Rico, and they're so proud of him. So that was really an awesome takeaway for me. So the one player I'll highlight, and I know
from Ponce.
We've already talked about him. Yeah, Benito Santiago, Ponce. Absolutely. He's another.
We're talking about Hall of Famers, Orlando. Put him down.
Oh, no. So
it's going to get live.
My wife was born in Panama. So Rodney Klein Carew was obviously the guy for Panama, right? And a cool story about. So I like James. I grew up watching Rod when he played against the Mariners with California Angels, and I too just appreciated everything about him. How he always got on base. That was when I think was he when did Reggie join the Angels? Were they playing together? Early 80s, right?
85-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, they're about when Rod left, because Rod was done in 85, right? Yeah. 86 is his last card. Right. So from 1980 to 85, Rod was on the Angels. So I saw him a lot, and I was just in awe of how he batted, how he played, how he's always on base, how he carried himself. Back to my story about Panama. So the story many of you have probably heard, Rodney Klein Carew was named after a doctor who he was born on a train. So he was going from Colon, Panama, which is on the Atlantic side of Panama, and he was heading to Panama City, specifically Balboa, to the hospital because she was obviously going to give birth. Well, she didn't make it, and the doctor who delivered the baby was named Rodney Klein. If he'd have been a girl, it would have been the lady that helped the birth, and I can't remember what her name, but that he would have been named after one of those two people, the people that helped him, be born. So anyways, the story, the connection that's interesting with my wife is that he was heading to the same hospital that my wife was born in Panama, Gorgas Hospital in Balboa. So I always thought that was kind of a cool thing. I actually shared that story with Rod in a chat on Instagram or something, and he liked it. So I'm like, cool. But anyways, that's my connection with Rod, is that he was headed to the same hospital that my wife was born in. And he obviously is huge in Panama as well. I guess I should be showing some cards of his.
I got plenty of cards of Carew.
So here's an on-card auto. One of my favorite cards of all time is his rookie cup. I mean, his rookie's cool, but it's it's a shared card, so it's not maybe as cool, but whatever. But I got both of those.
Well, if you got a Roddy rookie, you can show it. Go ahead.
We'll show the rookie. All right, we'll do the rookies.
Oh, I thought Orlando had one.
Not with me now. I don't have it.
All right. Go on to your next card, brother.
And then I got just the Pride of Panama, National Pride. That's always
I
cool.
love that set.
That's cool, man. So that's a cool card of him. And then speaking of Panama, also another Trailblazer. Just again, like what Orlando was saying, there's so many players that you've never heard of that have an impact. This is Humberto Robinson, and he is actually the first Panamanian to play in the major leagues. So let me see if I can get that without a glare. Probably not. But anyways, that's this is his 1955 Topps, Humberto Robinson.
There we go, right there.
There we go. He is the first Panamanian to play in the major leagues. Obviously, we had Rodney Klein Carew, Mariano Rivera. He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
He's another Panamanian. Those are the two, Panamanian and the third. If I got time for one more Panamanian,
Of course.
this is maybe my favorite.
I know where you're
maybe
going.
my favorite. And we're talking about Roberto Clemente. And if you know the story of Roberto, unfortunately, when he died tragically, his best friend was Manny Sanguillen.
Yes.
And this is a fantastic card, on-card auto, Manny Sanguillen. He's from Panama. Yes, see, I mean, this what a great guy, dude. I mean, seriously, just a fantastic man, and one of Roberto's best friends. And he left and went down to search for him, hoping he could find him, after the plane crash.
Such a tragically sad, beautiful story that he missed it because he was still looking for his.
Yes, he was exactly right. So Manny Sanguillen, I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards, just because I love the catcher pose. Whenever they're looking up in the air at a pop fly or whatever, posing, that's great. So
that's probably why I love catcher cards from like the Munson and the Elson Howards, the Yogis, because the catcher cards back in the day were where it's at. And shout out to my boy Scott Maz, who hooked me up with this beautiful Manny Sanguillen auto.
One more card, because you're talking about catcher cards.
Yeah.
Before I move on, I think Don Field of Dreams is in this chat.
Oh yeah.
He'll appreciate this card because he did a video on him.
Oh.
Ray Noble. He's another Hispanic player. I mean, just look at that card. That is just gorgeous.
Let me zoom in on that, homie. I'm getting my producing skills on up. There we go.
I mean, just the detail in the back, even like the power pole in the back. That's just an amazing card. And Don did a great video on this. Check it out, about just the beautiful card of Ray Noble. He's from Cuba. He's a Cubano. So yeah, that's what I got.
All right, James, take it away, homie. What you got, brother?
All right. This man right here, Lefty Gomez, Hall of Famer, twice the Triple Crown winner, and a Yankee. So I have to give some love to Lefty Gomez with his 41 play ball. Both times he won the Triple Crown, he ended up with a 2.33 ERA. Very underrated. Helped the Yankees to many championships. I think he's right underneath Red Ruffing and Whitey Ford as the best pitchers. He's the top three. Well, I guess if you're going to put Mariano in there, but starter, I should say. Top three starter in Yankee history. So Lefty Gomez, he's of Mexican descent, even though he was born in California. But his parents are Mexican. So I got to go with my Hall of Famer, Lefty Gomez.
Very nice. What you got, Orlando?
I got to stick with my favorite, which is Clemente, Roberto Clemente. I know I keep bringing him up, but to me, he was just the one that I admired the most growing up and still today. So I just gotta keep talking about Clemente, showing some cards there.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you something that card you may not seen. These are baseball tattoos. I got to be very delicate because these things, you get any water on them and it comes off. This is the baseball tattoos from 1971.
Yeah, you got the sheet. I love that.
The sheet, and you can see my man here. Where's Roberto Clemente?
I love that.
See
that sheet has eluded me. I've been trying to get that.
That's awesome.
There's Roberto right there. You see him on there?
Oh yeah.
That's a sheet. So something a little bit different. It's got a little bit of everything on there. Got Thurman Munson and stuff like that. So just something different. And of course, Roberto.
I love that
one. 59 is so good.
Roberto. The story I have on him really is just meeting his wife, Vera Clemente. And in one of my videos, I put a card that she signed for me, my business card. I met her in it was like more of a gathering for business. I was in marketing. So I went to a thing that the Marlins was doing, and they had Vera Clemente there. It was like a dinner, actually a big lunch in there. and Vera Clemente was there. Roberto Clemente Jr. was there. And luckily, they sat me right in the table next to them. And I'm like, wow,
Nice.
this is great. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm pretty shy. I didn't want to go talk to her in the beginning, but people were coming up to her. She was talking to everybody, just enjoying the time. Roberto Jr. was there talking to everybody like if nothing, like if you're just friends. And then later on, I went up to talk to her in Spanish. And boy, she gave me about 15 minutes of talking. We talked about Roberto. We talked about his baseball, how he just loved baseball. But the best thing about him overall, not just the star that he was, but the person. He was just an incredible person, a true humanitarian. Things that, you look at certain players, and the players that you really fall in love with are the players that are good people. Because you look, for example, compare a Ken Griffey and a Barry Bonds. Why did most people go for Ken Griffey? There were similar players in the same era, but Griffey's such a nice guy compared to Bonds. And the same thing happens with Mantle and Mays. And, I've met both of them. I got their autographs. And Mantle, you talked to him. He talked to you. He was friendly. He looked in your eyes. Mays, he was like nothing. He looked down, he signed it, he shook my hand, and didn't really, he wasn't friendly. So when you look at the hobby, it's not just about the player, but it's about the person. And yeah, Mays had better stats than Mantle, but everybody likes Mantle. Bonds has better stats than Griffey, but everybody likes Griffey. So for me, it was just the overall person is Clemente. He was overall top player, top man. Yeah. And his family was the same way. I found when I got to meet them, they were the same way, down to earth people. They talked to everybody in the room like if they were family. And, that even made me more of a fan of Clemente.
And I'm sure, the sons, the wife, the widow, they just love talking about it because, that's what keeps the spirit alive. I mean, he passed at such a young age. He was 38. I'm here 41. He did so much in such a short span. That's why I truly believe people were born for a reason. That's what his reason was, to reach and touch as many lives as possible. So I'm a Clemente guy. You obviously know I'm a Clemente guy.
Yeah.
But I want to shed some light on other Hispanics in the hall that don't get too much love. So here's a nice little stud right here, Luis Aparicio.
Love that card.
Yeah, 56. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the only Hall of Fame rookie card of that year.
Yeah, it is.
And
55, yes, it is.
Yeah, 13-time All-Star. He was speedy before it was cool. He had over 500 500 stolen bases. I think he was a 9-time stolen base champ. And Ted Williams, another great Hispanic.
Here we go.
If some of you don't know, Ted Williams' mama was Mexican, so we'll claim that. But he said that Luis was the greatest shortstop that he's ever seen at that time. So, so much. 2,600 hits, 9 Gold Gloves, 9 stolen bases. Love this card.
That's a beautiful card.
And the Splinter says it's got to be true. You know what I'm saying? Here's a nice little auto. I love this card. Love it. Real clean. And something about the signatures. It's like the players back in the day, they took their time. There was honor in signing. That everyone signed their full name, nice clean auto shit. Like they took pride in their name.
Now they just signed the initials.
Oh yeah, because they're signing.
Nobody knows how to do cursive anymore. Yeah.
Now
they even have the worst nicknames: J-Rod, A-Rod,
right?
A-Rod. Come on.
Another big red is Tony Perez.
Nice.
Hey, let's go with that.
Yeah, Tony Perez.
That's a great last name right there.
Yeah. 2,700 hits, 379 home runs, 3-time World Series champ. I believe it was like 7 All-Stars. Oh, that's a sick one. I love those dang
Yeah, that's a beautiful one.
archives because
they separate it because he's he's sharing with all these guys, so it's like let's just give him his own.
They did that with the bench and
the
Manoso
great
has
signature too. Yeah,
that's still Torres auto.
fan.
I love the prime cuts. Look at that clean auto, little bat, little jersey
signature.
Love it. And who else? Who needs some light? Oh, here's a nice little Cuban comment of Minnie Manoso. I love the inscription. Shout out to my boy Sean Tiefert. Got this from him. I was in one of my mystery boxes that I bought from him. I always thought it was interesting with Minnie. It's like he did his own line, so he made sure he was straight. I don't know what that was about, but such a unique signature. But I hardly ever see it with his nickname, Cuban comment. And let's get down to, so I had a little Cuba, a little Venezuela. Let's hit a little La República Dominicana. You know what I'm saying? Little WBC jersey right here. Little 61 Dominican dandy right here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? 243 wins, 2.89 ERA. Beautiful, James. Nice, Brent.
Let's go.
One no hit. And the thing is, a lot of people look at his resume. It's a nice resume, but he's missing a lot of the big, the Cy Youngs. But you got to remember the time he pitched with the Koufaxes and the Bob Gibsons. You know what I'm saying? But he still put out. And the reason I love this card, have you guys ever heard of the greatest game ever pitched?
Yeah. I was hoping you'd say that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 4 hours, 16 innings pitch between him and Warren Spahn. Each pitcher pitched over 200 pitches. 200 pitches for each pitcher. 4 hours, 16 innings. And then I guess Willie Mays had a date. He had something to do because he just said, you know what? I'm done with this, and crushed a walk-off home run to end the game. But can you imagine that today?
Wow.
16 innings. And I mean,
no, man.
I think it was
they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't.
Or John is one of on our text threads where Dustin May, I think, had a perfect game through 5, and they sat him for pitch count.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Look at these beautiful cards.
Yeah, I love that one, dude.
Look at that pose.
The leg kick.
Look at the 73, though.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love that batter's eye angle. Beautiful. So there's a little Hall of Fame chat. We didn't even talk about the new Hall of Famers. We talked about some of the old school, but let's keep this moving. So, in your opinion, name a Latino that is underrated or who was snubbed for the Hall of Fame. Who wants to take that one first?
I'll go first, but I gotta look for the card. You caught me by surprise.
By surprise.
I was gonna whip out the new Hall of Famer, Tony Oliva, but forget that.
Yeah, I like
Tony, man. I'm ready for Tony when you're ready
I'll
for
start
Tony.
off with he'll never be in the Hall of Fame, but Canseco, the first 40-40 man, had all the skills, had everything, but unfortunately he took the drugs. But let me tell you, he had it all.
He did. Speed, power.
He made all of his collectors, man. That's for sure.
The guy was just incredible. And it's just a shame that what happened with him and his career, because he was the first one that spoke out. He admitted it.
Yeah.
And he said, he did it. He said McGuire did it with him. Mm-hmm. And he was basically blackballed. He was banned from baseball pretty much. Yeah. Just similar to Pete Rose, because he was the most honest and just said, hey, I did it. But he was on track to be a Hall of Famer. And now nobody ever talks about him anymore.
Oh, no.
All right. So I guess who I'm going to bring up, and I will tout this man while I'm blue in the face. All right. I thought I had more cards of him pulled aside.
Yes.
Yep. Carlos Delgado, yeah. I feel like played in the wrong era, because you never hear his name linked at all to PEDs, and he put up 40 home run power so often throughout his throughout his prime. 300 average, 100 RBIs, consistent. You always knew what to expect from him numbers wise. He'd go from Toronto to the Mets. He still was productive. And he was, I think, around 470. So he was almost on that 500 home run cusp. And I just find it amazing that if he would have been in any other era than the steroid era, he probably would have been looked upon with a different light.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was clean.
He was clean. Yeah. He was an upstanding citizen, a good teammate.
You know what, though? Something that a lot of people don't realize, Puerto Rican legend, 473 home runs, 2 All-Stars, 3 Silver Sluggers, 280 career batting average. But people forget how detrimental that strike year was. Here we are. He's at 473. You don't think in 94, if he played, you don't think he would have gotten 27 home runs? And, as young as he was, as strong as he was? Of course. I was making that argument with someone with some other Hall of Famers like Fred McGriff, who's 7 short. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, people who are just short of there's other guys when I was doing research, that strike year hurt a lot of guys who were on the border, you know what I'm saying? Because they're so close. I think another one was Omar Vizquel, and to me, when you're considered one of the best at your position with, as many Gold Gloves, I think he was like 200 short of 3,000 hits.
Mm-hmm. With Delgado, here's Manny Ramirez, very similar style player, very underrated, just like him. Manny Ramirez was also an incredible player, and he deserves consideration.
Well, it's not that he's not, underrated. People knew how great he was, and he wasn't a great fielder, but when it came to pure hitting, right-handed hitting, he was probably one of the greats of all time. It's just failing those PED tests.
He was an entertaining fielder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was
good, but he was in that same era that really he was overcome by the Canseco's and the McGuires and the Sosas.
I'm with you. I'm all about Manny. I loved Manny.
Man Ram, yeah.
He falls in the same category as Manny, Jose Canseco. How about this cat, Juan Gonzalez? This is a reverse
negative.
Right there. Reverse negative,
2-time AL MVP. You know what I'm saying?
Juan gone.
He should be a Hall of Famer. But that was
about this guy. Not that he should be a Hall of Famer, but I love this guy, Ruben Sierra.
Yeah, Ruben Sierra.
Dude, he was just like the prototypical guy, man.
Texas Ranger.
Ruben.
Yeah, and in the chat, I'm seeing Johan Santana.
Yeah,
dude, I love that card.
You can't forget it.
He's almost in the same light as Tim Lichacombe. Great, but so short. You know what I'm saying?
Minnesota used him as a middle reliever for like 4 years.
They also traded David Ortiz. So
that was crazy.
4 years just wasted as a middle reliever.
They didn't know what. It's just ridiculous.
If he would have averaged 10 to 12 wins on those first 4 years, he would have been close to definite, Hall of Fame.
I'm with you. What you got, bro?
So I got 2 pitchers and 1 hitter. So my first pitcher is my beloved Mariners, King Felix. I'll always go for this guy. Still holds the record. The last perfect game was King Felix. So this is his rookie refractor autograph. So loved watching him. Obviously, he really kind of tailed off towards the end of his career. But when he was on in the peak of his career, man, he was just fun to watch. And if you haven't done it, just look up on YouTube Felix Hernandez and Adrian Beltre. Just put both their names together and just their interactions throughout the years of them playing against each other. It's comedy gold. My next guy is just because I really wanted to show this card, but this is
don't do it.
Luis Tiant.
Oh yeah.
Luis Tiant with his autograph, and he's got his El Tiante nickname. So that's a guy that I think deserves some Hall of Fame consideration. He was just an amazing pitcher.
Yeah.
Right?
Nah.
Another guy with that great kick.
He aight. Yeah, I mean, 29. I mean, he just falls short everywhere. I mean, 24.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like Hernandez, right? I mean, it's like he had flashes of brilliance, but just
Well, I mean, the thing with Hernandez, he was so short. I mean, Hernandez at least got a Cy Young, 2,500 Ks, 3.42 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have the wins.
He didn't have the run support.
No,
yeah,
right. He played for bad teams.
Yeah, Tion had a nice long career. 229 wins, 3.30 ERA, 2,400 Ks, 3-time All-Star, and it pretty much that's it. You know, I mean, it wasn't like I mean, he played a long time. It was good.
Yeah,
but we're talking about Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So.
I thought
one more gal show just because Lou didn't want me to show him, but I'm going to show him.
You got another one?
Carlos Beltran.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, I know you were. So he's up for the Hall of Fame next year, and I think he's going to make it. I don't think his first ballot, but his stats between his home runs, RBIs, hits, 300 stolen bases, only got caught less than 50 times in his career. I mean,
it's going to be close.
The guy's all right, man. The guy's all right.
No, he's 9-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves. He was like a Renaissance man. He was good at a lot of things, but I don't think he was fabulous.
He was consistent over the years.
Right? He was good.
No, he wasn't
good. Went to the Mets. Even when he went to the Mets, he was like their best player.
And he was on Kansas City. Nobody even knew Kansas City had a team, let alone he was on it.
Listen, they'll let him in. If they let Harold Baines in, they'll let him in.
You're not wrong, dude.
He really marred his name with Houston, though.
Yeah, I think that was going to be one.
Yeah, for sure.
That really that's going to hurt him in the long run.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring up a few names, which I don't know if they're really Hall of Fame worthy, but I really enjoyed watching them play. And Moises Alou. I love Moises Alou. He could do everything so well. I like this game.
Yeah.
Moises Alou was cut from the old cloth, has the Alou lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing no gloves.
You talk about the old school. Why is he old school? I think I told you why. What he did. I mean, he batted with no gloves, but what was the technique that he used to rough up his hands so he could have strong hands?
What? But put his hands through rice? I don't know.
No. I urinated on his hands.
What?
Upping him up. Oh. I promise you. He was in an interview saying that he's like, yeah, bat with no gloves. I urinate. The trick I learned was I urinate on my hands. Look it up. It's on the internet.
That's a trick he learned. Crazy. I mean, somebody taught him that. That's okay.
I guess, yeah. It's crazy.
Here's a few more names. Big Sexy Bartolo Colon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great, but not even close. He's someone I enjoyed watching. He ain't going to sniff the Hall of Fame.
He was really good for a while. Here's another one. Victor Martinez.
Yeah, he pitched.
Okay. That's a good one. I didn't think about him.
Really good. How about this one? Carlos Lee. Who remembers him?
That's Panama.
Yeah.
Panama right
Carlos Lee was
a good hitter.
Wow.
Yeah, he was.
And this is one of my favorites, but he's definitely not a Hall of Famer. But Carlos Gonzalez.
One of your favorites? Are you kidding me, bro? With that
for a Yankees fan?
One of your favorites?
I love it.
I had him on my fantasy almost every year, man. I used to love me some Carlos Gonzalez.
Hold up. How do I exit someone from the chat?
Yankee killers are always cool in my book.
All right. So here I got 2 players.
One last one. Aramis Ramirez.
Oh, yes, bro.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I think he's sneaky.
He's not going to get to the Hall of Fame.
He's not. A good player. But man, he put up some solid years, man.
Hey, he's a lot closer than Luis
solid years was this. Palmeiro.
Oh, you showed up all these steroid guys.
Steroid guys, but let me tell you.
3,000 hits, 500 home runs.
He
should
all
be
hit.
hit, but, I got those 2. These are all my
500 home runs.
Yep, bro. I mean, we could talk about Sammy. We could talk about Manram.
I mean, you think any of those will go in eventually?
A-Rod. I mean,
even Clemens, maybe?
The thing is, this year is going to be telling. If Clemens gets in, if Bonds gets in, then I think the floodgates open because
the gates open, Sosa and everybody.
Because then how can you deny Sosa. I mean, the summer of '98. Let's just talk about the summer of '98 before I get into the summer of '98 was so pivotal to baseball and the history of baseball. I remember how big that year was because after the strike, baseball attendance was still down. People were still pissed off with the millionaires fighting billionaires.
Yeah.
But then when McGwire was chasing, and people forget Griffey was in the beginning of that chase too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he fell back. I think he got banged up. And I think Sammy hit 20 home runs in a month and threw his name in the limelight. And from there, it was like, live shot from the into games. You'd be watching your local game, and all of a sudden, Sammy's up to bat. And that was the first time there was live look-ins for at-bats. And, Sammy coming through, doing his little hop across home field. He had
everywhere, national news. It was on every channel.
Oh my God. So the summer of '98 is, if you could put seasons into the Hall of Fame, that should be in the Hall of Fame because that was so instrumental to baseball history. McGwire going for the record, Sosa's chasing him, and just the battle. And they had a good relationship, and they were likable. And that just brought. I remember I was in basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, and my father was sending me newspaper articles. Show you how far back it was. He was cutting newspaper articles and sending them. He's like, "Son, you're gonna, in a couple of weeks when you graduate, come home. We gotta go catch a couple games." It was great. It was just, that was one of the best times in my baseball, hobby career watching. I remember the summer of '98. I will always be thankful for '98. But yeah, to see those two monsters crushing the Rock like that, just phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, if Bonds gets in, how can you not put McGwire? How can you not put Sammy, who's the only person with 60 separate 60 home runs in 3 separate seasons? He's the only guy who ever did that. You got to put him in. So
what do you feel with Judge getting so close to passing Maris with the numbers that McGwire, Sosa, and Bonds?
Just what it is, bro. I mean, we don't get off topic, but just what it is. He's got the Yankee record. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's the true record. That's the Yankee record."
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't recognize Bonds, they didn't recognize Sosa. The thing is, Judge will have the American League record if you want to think of it like that, because Bonds, McGwire, Sammy were in the NL. Judge will have the American League record and the Yankee record, but I mean, until Bonds, McGwire, and Sosa are stricken from the record, those are the records. That's just how it is. They're recognized. They're in the books. It is what it is. You could put an asterisk, whatever. That's what it is. So, and Judge is my guy. I love my Judge. But to get back on under appreciated people who should be in the Hall of Fame, how about this cat? Omar Vizquel. And to go back to that strike year, here's a man with 2,800 hits. 2,877 is where he ended. 11 Gold Gloves, 3 All-Stars. This man is so underrated, and he's been on the ballot. I think he'll eventually get in because, I mean, when you have double-digit Gold Gloves, I mean, that's why I think Jim Cott got in. Ozzie definitely got in because he's the wizard on the field. He didn't scare nobody with the bat. I mean, if you're considered, and this is alluding to my next transition to this guy, if you're considered one of the greatest at your position defensively, that's good enough because the moment they put in one of the most overrated cats in Edgar Martinez, was very one-dimensional.
Wow.
About one-sidedness.
Wow.
1995. You still bitter, bro?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Edgar in a little bit. Yeah. But Keith Hernandez. Now, his pops, his ancestry goes back to Spain. But this man right here, if I told you, 5-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, an NL MVP, 2 Silver Sluggers, and 11 Gold Gloves, Keith Hernandez arguably is probably the greatest at his position. 11 Gold Gloves at first base. How is he not in? Because he's mean to reporters and, he doesn't like to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and his mustache is legendary.
And he dated Elaine Bennis. So, I mean, come on.
Yes, come on, man. So, I mean, I think he's super underrated. Should have been in the Hall years ago. Vizquel should be in there soon. You know.
Yeah.
But if you want to flip the script, we could talk about overrated cats, and we could talk about your boy Edgar Martinez.
Yeah, we can, and we should.
He's not even the best DH of the Hall of Fame now that David Ortiz is in. But yeah, you could go ahead and talk about that.
I mean, here's me. I mean, as a Mariner fan, I mean, you want to talk about the summer of '98 for baseball.
Yeah.
The October of '95 was what saved baseball in Seattle, right? So I think part of where you're coming from is you're bitter. We beat the Yankees. I was, whatever. But Edgar, to me, is that prototypical consistent player. Every year he's going to hit for above average. All he did is he hit doubles. All he did is hit doubles, including the double in '95 off of Jack McDowell. But I can switch hats, and I can see where you're coming from, right? I mean, there's a great debate. Is he the best DH of all time, even though they named the DH award after him? Because he came before David Ortiz. David Ortiz obviously was on better teams. He was in the spotlight more. He was more flamboyant. Edgar, I love Edgar to death, but he is a boring dude. He's just very chill, but he's so good at what he did at his craft, right? I could say he's overrated as far as being a Hall of Famer, but for me personally, I mean, he got in on his last year's eligibility. So obviously they were hemming and hawing about him. He got in with Mariano Rivera, right? Which is ironic because of all the players ever, he's one of the few players that could say he owned Mariano Rivera. Not too many people can say that. Edgar can. Not that got him in. I'm just saying I think he should be in, but I also get why you would say he's overrated because he only played in the field for 3 years. Then he got hurt. Yeah. And then they didn't have a place for him, but they didn't want to give up his bat. So he became a DH. He won multiple batting titles. He hit for power. He had some years that he was, 30 plus home runs more than once. I think he had 1 year that was almost 40. So I'll always say he deserves it, but
you're right.
I get it.
But Rivera is like no doubt about it, 100%. And then you have last year of eligibility was, people were like,
yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's one dimensional.
It was a nice little contrast.
He did well. He was a great hitter.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to put any DH in at the time, you could point to Edgar Martinez as the one out of all the DHs.
Got a shiny card.
Exactly.
That's nice.
And then you got Harold Baines, and then you got, Ortiz. So you got the 3 best DHs, basically. Yeah. Other than that, who else deserves to get in there that's a DH? Hardly no one.
No, because he was really the first, and DH is relatively. I mean, Ortiz was the first one after really that's like
right.
And now more will get in because the National League has a DH, so there's going to be more opportunities.
I mean, the other guy that would come to mind would be like someone like Nelson Cruz, maybe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
Nelly's over 450. I don't think
he's close.
No, he's got like almost 470 something.
Yeah, he's having an off year this year, but yeah, he was getting close to 500 there for a while, but he's going to be 43 next year. So,
well, they can extend some careers now with the DH everywhere.
Exactly right. There he is.
There you go. Dang, bro, I thought you guys didn't name none of the guys. I thought you I was ready too.
What?
You didn't bring up my man right here. For potential Hall of Famers.
Oh, Fernando, yeah.
Fernando Mania.
Unfortunately, he just.
I mean, you know what?
So many, very short time.
Yeah.
There could be an argument made for him that he did almost as much for Hispanic baseball than that Roberto Clemente did.
Yeah, Fernando Mania was huge.
That brought just a huge spotlight.
I think the early 80s. You're right. He had such an impact. He made it mainstream. Because
too short-lived though. Too short-lived.
Yeah, too short-lived.
We all tried to mimic his, roll his eyes up in his head trying to pitch. I'm like, man, that's just.
It was like Louis Tiant. Right? He pitched similar to Louis Tiant.
Exactly. Right. He was a rock star.
Yes,
he was.
Exactly.
I'm gonna bring up someone who I think should have more consideration, and maybe this is a homer pick.
Oh, that's not what I thought.
Jorge Posada.
Oh yeah, man.
Like the best switch hitting
Puerto Rican catcher, man,
that ever lived, basically, and he was one of the main cogs to the Yankee dynasty. Quiet, soft-spoken, just did his job on the field. Great average, good pop. Once again, I think the steroid era kind of overshadowed his numbers a little, but if you're going to compare him to somebody, I would say he's almost like Carlton Fisk, like that type of guy that gave you a little of everything very well.
Yeah, very, very good comparison. Not a very high average, but a clutch hitter.
Clutch hitter, gave you that clutch hit when you needed it. Look at Pedro Martinez when he got that double right over, and he just was a rock.
Yeah, he played in many categories. I don't think he'll be even close. But 5 All-Stars, 5 Silver Sluggers, and part of 4 World Series. Puerto Rican superstar.
He catchers, man.
He played in the era of Ivan Rodriguez and Piazza, and even Mauer. So those are the type of players he had to put up his numbers against, which, you know, he just couldn't compare. But his whole career was a steady Eddie. And when you think of it as a switch hitter, really underrated.
There he is.
Pudge.
Ivan Rodriguez.
He's not underrated.
No, he was the
greatest defensive catcher I've
incredible catcher.
Dude, that guy just
phenomenal. I mean, great. I mean, he wasn't no slouch at the plate either. 2,800.
No, he could gun him down, dude. Yeah.
296 batting average.
The Marlins would not have won the World Series without Pudge.
Oh no,
because Pudge was able to get the pitchers like Josh Beckett and pitchers like that the Marlins had. I went to the games. Pudge controlled the game, the entire game. Yeah, and he was a clutch hitter, solid hitter.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Cannon for an arm, 13 Gold Gloves, but people forget he was nice at the plate too, man. 296 batting average, 2,800 hits, 300 home runs, 7 Silver Sluggers.
And you're right, Lou. Nobody stole against him. He had an incredible arm.
He dared you.
Yeah.
He won.
Since we're on catchers, I'm going to bring up one that I think is also underrated. Javier Lopez.
Oh, yeah. Dude, how many Puerto Rican catchers are there, man? These are all Puerto Ricans, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
You're right.
We even talk about Molina. Right.
Well, Carlos came up as a catcher.
Delgado did.
That's another one, too.
He moved to the first.
Yeah.
Because he's
a big guy.
He had such great power, they didn't want him getting banged up. Bro, you know, James, this is your guy. And because of you is the reason I bought this rookie card. El Presidente.
Nice.
Oh, Denny Martinez. I got that card,
Nicaragua.
El Presidente. He's is he Colombian? Or is he
Nicaragua?
Nicaragua, that's right. Yeah, I know that's right.
Look at him in uniform here.
That's a great one.
That's my favorite card of this
softball game.
Love it.
My favorite card of Dennis Martinez. When you're a presidente, you could go to the field looking like that.
Right? You can wear whatever you want.
We already touched on some of the things like the steroid era, some of the guy. Well, you want to talk about hype? We were talking about you know, Fernando Mania and everything like that. But I remember the hype that these cats got when they came in, you know, because, you know, they defected and that was big news. Cespedes.
Oh, yeah.
He came over. Can you imagine if he came over in today's climate? These cards will be worth $30,000.
Yeah.
You know, the way he's built, you know, people didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Especially Puig. Puig looked like a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just don't build them like that, you know? And I think I don't know what it was with them, man. I thought they had the potential. I don't think they could have handled. I just don't think they could handle how big of a deal it was, you know, with the crowds and the media, and then being stressed with their families. But I was hoping for big things from those two, and they just burned out. I think Cespedes is still hanging on.
He's hanging on there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cespedes with the Mets went MIA, and they let him go.
That's right.
He was worried more about his horses.
He didn't show up.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Right,
I got an underrated guy for you.
What you got, bro?
Who remembers Carlos Baerga with the Indians?
Yep.
This guy was a hit machine. Carlos Baerga with the Indians, with Albert Bell and Manny Ramirez. My Lord, he would help turn that lineup over. And Someone
That's a
mentioned
good call.
Maglio Ordonez.
Maglio.
Nagy, nice, man. Ain't no Hall of Famer, but real nice player. Super solid.
Great card, too. I love that set.
That's a nice one. You know what? Let me jump around a little bit. There's been some great Hispanic players of today that have fallen out of grace with the hobby and with the sport. And I'm talking about Mighty Mouse, 5'3".
Altuve.
He was on track. That trajectory, people loved him. People never seen. You talk about Judge. No one's ever seen anyone built like that playing center field for the Yankees. 6'7", 280. People loved Altuve because here's a guy who says he's 5'6". He ain't no 5'6", 160 pounds, but crushing it. And the scandal for him, and talking about another Puerto Rican great, Carlos Correa. They were tied up in that Houston nonsense with trash cans bagging. Speaking of Altuve, he needs to give that MVP back to Judge. And most recently, Fernando Tatis, talking about PED issues. He's still young. Yeah. Speaking of, coming back from grace, the thing is, what was so different from like the Sammys, the Palmeiros, he's still super early in his contract, super early in his career. How do you think he's going to recover? These guys are going to recover from in the hobby. Are they collectible? Right now, their stuff is cheap. If you like them, get their stuff now. But what do you think? You think Altuve could play himself back into the Hall of Fame? Because at second base, with his offensive numbers, the MVP, World Series champ, he has the resume. What do you think is going to happen with that?
I don't think Altuve has the personality, though, like Tatis does. I think Tatis can, if he can come back with the swagger he had before, obviously with a chip on his shoulder, he's got a lot to prove. I think he's got time to turn it around, both as a player and as someone that you would collect. Altuve, I don't know, man. I never liked him that much, even before he was tugging at his shirt coming into home. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know.
No one liked the Astros.
Yeah, I'm an AL West guy, so I'm supposed to not like them, right? And it's like I don't know, there's something about him that just nothing against the guy, but I just don't think he has the personality that would be equatable to someone like Tatis.
Yeah, it's like I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine. I've told the American people are very forgiving people, especially with athletes. And I think if Tatis comes back, just goes to work, punch in, punch out, blue collar mentality. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to carry the team. You have Juan Soto, Dominican superstar, and Manny Machado, who's also playing for the Dominican team, which is another. We'll touch on that later for the WBC. But Machado is obviously the leader of that team, shows leadership qualities. But if Tatis just comes in, does his thing, gets his swing back, shows he can still play, I think in time, people will tend to forget, kind of like David Ortiz. But what do you think, James or Orlando?
I don't know. I think, Altuve, you got to be careful with Altuve because nobody even thought that he was going to be able to play baseball. He's an underdog. The guy was, like you say, 5'3". I think his agent went around trying to sell him and literally bribe somebody. I don't remember exact story on how he got in the league, but one team finally gave him a chance. And the guy is he's good. The guy's good. And he's just got that drive. There's certain players that have that drive that are just going to do it no matter what. And he's one of those guys. He just loves the game. He's got that drive. He's got the skills. So, I won't count him out. I think he could go into the Hall of Fame. You just got to put this situation behind him. And I think people will forget about that. If he continues to play the way that he's playing a few more years, I think he's got a good chance to go into the Hall of Fame. Kind of like he's an underdog. People like underdogs, even though he may not have the best personality. But, a 5'3" guy, it's like when you saw Spud Webb do the dunk contest, back in the days, this little guy dunking the ball. And people are amazed to watch somebody like Altuve play. You literally got to pitch to the guy. You can't walk him. His strike zone is so small. You got to put it right down the middle. So the guys, I think he could still hit. I think he's got a chance. I mean, I won't count him out. He's one of those guys that the desire is there, and he's an underdog, always been in his life. So he could be, if people forgive him for what happened in the past.
I gotcha. Some great names in the chat. Oh, Mangini showed up late. He's talking about the Hegel, only player in 5 Hall of Fames. Covered, homie.
Yep.
But by the way,
I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
Go ahead, bro.
Getting off Altuve, since we're talking about possible future guys. Out of these 2 third basemen, who do you think has a chance to get in? One or the other, or both? Arenado, Machado. Who do you think has a good chance to get in? Both, one or the other?
Golly, I got it right here. Well, I think both. I think the one that's on track now is Machado. Where's his cards?
See, I was gonna say Arenado.
Speak on it.
I think whenever you change teams, you don't know, right? So he's establishing himself this year with St. Louis. So,
and his defense, I think, helps him out a little bit more than Machado.
He's exceptional. I mean, Machado's good too. I mean, you see those deep in the well throws that they just. I don't know how both of them are like just amazing at that.
No, I mean, I think Arenado. You think about great third basemen with a glove. I think of Eric Chavez, who's someone I forgot to bring up earlier.
Oh yeah, dude.
But Eric Chavez was a great, Mexican heritage, great third baseman, 6 Gold Gloves. But Arenado, I was going to say, if he gets in, I mean, and his bat is coming around,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's really the one to beat for the NL MVP right now.
Oh, yeah. Freeman is a beast.
I love Freeman. I love
Arenado and Freeman and Goldschmidt are the top 3.
Goldschmidt also.
No, and I think if anything hurts Freeman, and don't get me wrong, he's the star of all stars because he's hitting 3 in that lineup, that $1 billion lineup. He's the man. But I mean, Freeman can have a bad day. You know what I'm saying? And the Dodgers are going to be all right. I mean, you got Mookie leading off. You got stars throughout. You got NL MVP hitting 6 and 7 every night in quoted. It's an embarrassment of riches. Arenado, I think we'll get a little bit. If everything's the same, Nolan should get the tiebreaker. But I love Machado just because he ain't no slouch on the defensive end. He's got 2 Gold Gloves himself, Silver Slugger, 6-time All-Star, and here's the guy. I think he just turned 30, and he's got 279 home runs. So
he's still young.
Still young.
He's a possible 500.
But I think he's going to have a chance at 500. He's got Gold Gloves. And now the DH is in the NL, a couple years, before that happened, I was like, oh, it could be close, but he can hit that magic number now because the DH is in the NL and, or they can move him to first base because, third base is a demanding position. But I love Manny Machado. Here's a couple of pickups I got at the National. Got this in a $5 box. Crazy. This is numbered to 620. One of the real red tints from Heritage.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, Manny Machado is so undervalued. I mean, I know a lot of people think he has an attitude, but no one ever says anything bad. He's a great teammate. You know what I'm saying? Shows leadership qualities. And, the guy plays hard, some questionable things. But
wait, but how many home runs you said Machado has?
279.
Arenado has 298.
How old is Nolan, though? Nolan's older, isn't he?
Yeah, he's older.
Well, the rookies were the same year, so I'm assuming they're about the same age.
Rookie year was same year. 92 for Machado, 91 for Arenado. He's a year younger.
Right. I didn't know that.
Shoot.
That changed everything now. It's Arenado younger plus more home runs, 298 so far.
But I didn't do research on Arenado because he's not Spanish.
I think it's Machado.
What? What is he then? Mongolian?
He's Swedish.
But hey, so we're talking about players today who are on track. So Nolan and Machado, I think, are leading the way. I think they're on track if they progress. But how about this cat right here, Salvi, for cat?
Good name,
right?
Good name, right?
Underrated.
He is tricky.
He is sneaky good. I think it's because he's in Kansas. But I mean, 7-time All-Star, World Series MVP, 5 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver
Didn't he win like
Sluggers,
50 home runs?
5 Gold
Last
Gloves.
year was his breakout year.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know.
no one
And
thought
nobody
he
knew
had
about
that
it.
much power.
He had 48 home runs, but still crushed it. But I
Yeah,
think
he gets no pub.
no,
Nobody
and
talks about
none.
him.
He was hurt 3 years ago, right? I think that's why.
Yeah,
If
and
he
people,
didn't get hurt, I think he would have still been up there.
yeah, I think his numbers. I mean, hopefully he has a couple more healthy years. But like Piazza was an offensive guy. I mean, defensively he was garbage. You know, he was weak arm. Wasn't the greatest catcher. We all know that. He got in
Just a
because he
hitter.
was offensive power at catcher.
Right.
But he finished with like 420, 421 home runs. You know, Salvi's already got the hardware, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. He's at like 221 home runs, but 7 All-Stars. I think he's on track. Couple more healthy seasons, and then he'll finish his career at DH or first, kind of like Mauer, just to get a couple more, fluff up the stats a little bit. I think he's got an excellent shot at the Hall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. Venezuela.
Nobody talks about him. Yeah, that's a good call, man.
Someone mentioned this guy right here. Where you at on Jose Abreu? MVP already.
He's a poor man's Pujols. And I had him. Hitman was talking about him. And what did I have?
I'll put him with the class of Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby
Similar
Bonilla,
style.
really?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
He won an MVP though. Bonilla never won an MVP.
Well, but Bonilla was a great player. You know, he was consistent. He had played for many years. Had the best contract in baseball.
Now the thing with Abreu, he came into the league way too late. Just much older.
Yeah.
3 All-Stars. He has 243 home runs, an AL MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3 Silver Sluggers. The one stat that he cannot deny, he's 35 years old.
Yeah.
He's just gonna, come in, and that's the thing with a lot of these great Cubans. They come over, they have their struggles. They're pro ball players.
Yeah.
And they defect, but they're coming over way much older. And that's what's gonna hurt him. He's not gonna have the numbers at the end of the day.
Remember El Duque? El Duque came after playing a lot of years in Cuba.
Who are you talking to?
Dude.
He was dominant here, but just a short time.
Yeah, so I think that my man right here is going to fall just short because he'll probably play another 3 years. I mean, not everyone's Pujols.
Yeah.
But I always consider him. He's kind of like a poor man's Pujols. He's built like him. He plays like him, and I got a lot of respect for him. Love it. How about this cat? You got one?
Now that you mentioned Pujols, 2 more home runs left, and part of the 700 club, man. We haven't shown no Pujols.
Well,
he'll get there.
A question. I'll ask that question in a little bit, but I got one more guy for guys who are on track for the Hall of Fame. I want to see if you agree with me. Let me see if I can find it. This is our last one. Then I'll ask that question. Aroldis Chapman.
Okay.
7-time All-Star, World Series champ, 315 saves. He's Cuban and he's 34. How many more years do you think he's got? I mean, 7-time All-Star at closer. I figure, closers have a short shelf life, and he's been in the game for a little bit. Right now, he's not closing for the Yankees, but
I think it depends on who he plays for, right? That can pad his stats. He's got some games that he can save.
I don't know.
He's got a strong arm.
I don't know if I would put him in because of the troubles that got him out of Cincinnati when he beat up his wife. I think that marred his career a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah,
bro.
that's a good catch, James. You're right.
I think that would be the only thing that would keep him from being in the Hall of Fame.
All right. Well, since some of you brought it up, I'm going to ask let's get some hot takes. Who is the greatest Hispanic in your mind of all time? And we got, I don't want to say no names because it could go in a couple different directions. I could go against my main man, Roberto Clemente. But yeah, take a drink. Roberto Clemente, a little Woodford.
Hold on, I'm dry. Barkeep.
But Ray, if you want to take that one away, in your estimation.
Oh man, it's I don't know how you can't say it's Clemente if it had to be somebody besides Clemente.
No, I mean this is your opinion. I mean, if you want to say Clemente, I mean,
it kind of has to be, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of who else it could be.
You got Pujols and Clemente, I think, are the two.
Well, let's talk about Pujols for a second. You're right.
It's a three-man race. Three-man race. I'm gonna put one more name in there.
What? You got
Vladdy. Vladdy had power, average, defense. This guy was a complete and utter animal. And when I mean average, he was in the 350s for a power hitter. Nuts. And his arm was right there with Clemente's. He could gun you out from the wall. So,
and he had speed.
I think he has to be in there with Clemente and Pujols.
I would say for me, the three would be Clemente, Pujols, and Miguel Cabrera.
Yes, those are my three as well.
I can't even argue with Miggy.
The thing about Pujols, first off, I'm so happy that he passed up A-Rod for most home runs by a Latin player. Yes, that just makes me happy inside. That's coming from a bitter Mariners fan. Whatever. Anyways, I love Pujols as a person too. You talked about Clemente as a person. Pujols is that guy too. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anybody that's in the league that dislikes him. You saw what he did when he got that home run, right? When he passed up, when he got fourth all time, and you heard the story of the person that caught the ball. He let them keep the ball because of this, how much it meant to them, what they'd gone through. That's Pujols every day, right? So I love seeing people like that doing that well. So not that that's what would get him into the Hall of Fame or give him the title of best Hispanic player ever, but I think Pujols is in the conversation. And then you got Miguel Cabrera, who's got a triple crown, and he's just, been consistent for so long. Those would probably be my three.
Yeah, well, you guys are cheating because I said pick one, because I can argue, Miggy. I will always be thankful for Miggy Cabrera.
But hold on. Let's make a debate out of it. He put up Miggy, obviously Pujols, Clemente, and I'm putting Vladdy in there.
Okay. Let me start this real quick. Vladdy, love Vladdy. He was one of my favorite. He was my favorite non-Yankee. Straight old school, no batting gloves, toes to nose, strike zone. I mean, he had a ball that bounced off the ground, and cannon for an arm. But defensively, was he one of the best, the greatest of his generation? No, best arm, yes. My man's never won a Gold Glove. He has one AL MVP, 9 All-Stars. The guy's a stud. Don't get me wrong, but to put him in the same category as Clemente, who had a better arm, the most outfield assists from right field, and it's not even close. Second place was Hank Aaron, and I think he's got him by over 100 assists from the outfield. So, and then on top of that, you got my man with 3,000 hits. I call Clemente the gatekeeper because Clemente's 3,000 hits. He's the first one that you have to pass as you enter that illustrious club. 15 All-Stars, 12 Gold Gloves, NL MVP, World Series MVP, batting titles. Guerrero doesn't have that. So stop it before I mute your box. Second, Pujols to me is the clear second place. And I tell you why.
Clear
place.
Clear.
Because my man, La Máquina, is probably the greatest hitter of a generation right now. You look at his first 12 years, and it's comparable to the likes of like Jimmy Fox. Yes. Show that fire. Show that fire. I mean, he's too short of 700.
Mm-hmm.
North of 300.
How is he defensively, you think?
And that's where it takes a dip. Because yes, you could be considered one of the greatest hitters of all time. He's got 3 MVPs, stats on stats on stats. But when you come defensively, I wouldn't say he's a liability. He was a liability for more than half his career. He wasn't like the great. No one feared him defensively with a glove. You know what I'm saying? He was there.
Let me say something to his defense, though. WAR takes defense into account.
Okay, you and your WAR.
He's over 100 with WAR. Roberto with his defense, I think, is at 94.
Yes, he's at 94. But James, remember, WAR is also counted by years.
Yes.
So Pujols has 4 more years than Roberto accumulating WAR.
Okay.
I'll grant you that probably Pujols is the best Latin pure hitter, power hitter. But when you look at all around 5-tool player,
power hitter,
no Latin player I think is better than Clemente as far as defense, batting for average, stealing bases, doubles, triples. I mean, he did it all. You know, Pujols, you know, maybe he has those skills, a couple of skills better, but to me, Clemente is the best Latin player in the history of baseball. That's my opinion. Pujols is second, I'll grant you that, and probably a better hitter overall. Yeah. But you can't beat the man.
Pujols is going to beat the man. He's at 296 career batting average, 3,300 hits. He's about to hit 700 home runs, 3 MVPs, Rookie of the Year, and 11 All-Stars. And
3 MVPs that should have maybe been 5 because Bonds snatched 2 of those away with his
years. We could do, if you want to say what if. I mean, Terry Pendleton and Jeff Kent stole 2 MVPs from Barry Bonds, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Same thing with Mike Trout. Mike Trout was finishing second at a time when, you know, people thought he was the clear-cut MVP. So
he was.
You do what if. But like even Cabrera, who, like I said, I will forever be grateful for him, because to hit a triple crown in this era of specialization where you got power hitters, or you got at that time with Miggy, you know, you had like the Juan Pierres and the Tony Womacs, you know, the slap hitters, the Ichiros, people built like that. I didn't think I was ever going to see a triple crown. I thought that was something for the storybooks.
Since 1967.
Yeah. And to do it in the flesh, 500 home run hit club, 3,000 hit club.
That puts you in the Hall of Fame right there easily.
Yeah. Unless you're Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah, right.
All right, let me ask you a question. Does Adrian Beltre get any consideration? His WAR is 93.5.
Yes.
He had offense and defense.
Hall of Famer, greatest.
Hall of Famer.
Greatest first ballot Hall of Famer.
No. I'm just saying greatest Latino ball player.
I'll take Juan Marichal over him.
Really?
I think Juan Marichal had a better career than him. I mean, you can go Orlando.
I think he's first ballot.
Oh yeah,
I think he's first ballot too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the magic numbers, bro. When you got a magic number, it's hard to dispute that. I mean, I think Biggio had 3,000 hits. I think he went the second time around, which is ridiculous. I mean, you're a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer. I don't understand some of these writers who want to make a point. I mean, guy's got 3,000 hits. Why are you making him wait an extra year?
Yeah.
All right.
That's so good debate. But I agree. Clemente is one. I was just
Clemente than everybody else.
I was trying to see if it was a debatable topic.
So
but
James, you think Pujols is better than Clemente?
Not overall, by no means. No. I think the closest to Clemente overall is Vladdy, and Vladdy was too short a span. But he's the closest 5-tool.
Yes.
And I witnessed Vladdy, but it wasn't long enough. Clemente, even in his older age, in the 60s, he was still winning batting titles, and he didn't hit home runs. He could have, like Ichiro Suzuki, could have hit home runs, but he chose not to, so he could keep a high average.
Yeah, I think he had a lifetime. 317 average.
317.
Correct.
So I would never argue against Clemente. I was just trying to make it a debate.
No, I think the only real debate is
debate.
Yeah, that's the only one. I want to hear people's opinions on that. Hey, Brent, my man, I totally forgot. Did you have a trivia question? We got 17 people in the chat. Did you want to give something away?
Yeah, I'll give something away. I forgot about that too. Thanks for reminding me. So at
W
the
volume,
beginning
right?
of the podcast, I showed this guy. I want to give one of these away. This is
Julio.
Julio Rodriguez living set rookie card. I think it's, I don't know, going for like $30 or something. Nothing to sneeze at. Here's my trivia question though, and I have a couple people in the chat. If they're in there, they're probably going to know this, but I'm going to give it not just the name, but you have to give some more information. So there are 2 people in the history of baseball that have got 7 hits in a 9-inning game. I want you to name me the most recent player that did that. You also need to tell me where he was born. So who went 7 for 7 in a 9-inning game? It's only one of 2 people to do that. He was the most recent. And also tell me where he was born.
Cool.
First person in the chat to say that gets that card.
I got moderators in the chat. I got Don and Rue, so they can help me see who answers first. Let's see who's the quickest with Google, because I'm watching the chat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of people that might know without Google.
I hope so. Let me see. I got no answer so far. Stinnett, Panama.
Yep.
That's Don Field Dreams. That's who I got
Correct.
first.
1975. He actually did it 2 days ago on the 16th. 7 for 7, 1975.
All right. Johnny boy. Johnny live streams.
That's the guy right there. That's his rookie.
That's dope.
Panama.
Nice.
Yep. Born in Cologne, Panama.
All right.
Good job, Don.
I got
coming to you, buddy.
Yeah. There you go, Don.
I'll get your address separately.
I got Don's stuff. I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool.
I mean, we're closing in on 2 hours. I got a couple questions I want to ask you guys. So I got exciting news. WBC is in Miami where the Marlins play. And they're going to do all 3 rounds in that location. So I'm super excited. You know, La República Dominicana, that's where we're going. My mom's from La Vega, Santo Domingo. So super stoked about that. Those rosters are ridiculous. So I'll probably try to send some invites to the Misfits. So whoever wants to go, Orlando.
I'm in.
But yeah, definitely going to do the WBC and it's starting in March. So my kid sister lives down there, and so we're gonna hit that up. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But who do you think is gonna take the WBC? And are you guys gonna be watching? I think it's obvious who you think I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch. I hope the Dominicans. I really want to watch the Dominicans versus Puerto Rico. The Dominican roster is just stacked.
It's ridiculous. I'm looking at it now. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I want Puerto Rico for obvious reasons, but good grief. I mean,
you got Vladdy Jr. Soto is Dominican. Wander Franco is Dominican. Rappy Devers is Dominican.
No, they're going to run away with it.
Oh.
I mean, look at that lineup. Incredible.
So you guys, that's going to be a short discussion. You all think the Dominicans are going to take it? I mean, the Americans got a great lineup as well. They got a lot of superstars committed already.
I mean, but let's see, Dominicans got Sandy Alcantara for a pitcher. They got Clase for let's see, Christian Javier.
I just hope that the Americans and the Dominicans in 2 separate brackets, because I think
Rafael Devers.
Yes, those are the 2 best
Eloy
teams.
Jimenez.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, come on.
I mean, Puerto Rico's got Sugar Diaz for a closer, but
yeah, I'm not showing fire. Here's Vladdy. Here's a Refractor Heritage rookie card. Hit that in a hanger box when ripping retail was fun. Got that.
I love the Heritage Refractors, man. That's one of my favorite modern sets.
The reason I love these refractors, they're always numbered to like 500 something. 569. Yep. I got that in a hanger box.
I love those, man.
$300 card now. Here's a little refractor. And that's the way I collect. I love the base rookies. I'll always be a base rookie guy. I love base cards. I don't go for the parallels. I mean, like all the 20 different colors. If you go with the base, the rainbow, and the refractor, you'll be good all day. There's another numbered Vladdy.
It's crazy with all the parallels. Does anybody know how many? Here's a question for you guys. how many different cards does Pujols have?
Oh my God.
When rookie
Overall, or just his
No,
rookie year?
overall. How many different baseball cards of Pujols have been produced?
That should be my trivia
I
question.
read it the other day.
Oh,
That's a great question because he's a beautiful long career.
You know what?
I mean, a career that's spanning
Oh,
22 years.
Over 25,000 different Pujols cards have been made since his first year. 25,000, including all of the parallels, of course.
You know what's so funny? I mean, and you know they're super
crazy.
full hosts, but you know, back in the day, if you want to do a player run and you want to do something easy, you tell someone like do an Elston Howard or a Thurman Munson because they're short. You can go look for them. But can you imagine trying to do player runs or sets of pool holes or Miguel Cabrera's in that same boat? I mean, look at JT Triple Crown. You know, he's got how many uniques, and Miggy has a long career too. You know, that's crazy. Dude.
You know what's funny? I was gonna say 2,500. I was off by times 10.
25,000. Right. I read it in an article.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I thought 2,500 is a lot.
Right.
Well, think about it. All the parallels. 25,000.
I don't realize this cat's Dominican. Rafi Devers is so underrated, and the Red Sox are gonna mess up because they're playing Moneyball. They let Mookie Betts go. They're deciding between Xander Bogaerts and Devers, and I think they're gonna let Xander go. But why would Devers even stick around? I mean, he's a great young hitting power hitter that hits for average, and he's at a key position. He's not gonna stick around. I mean, just a phenomenal. Here's another young Dominican. I'm just showing you Dominicans right now. Wander Franco, straight stud. All day. And he's back. He got healthy at the right time, and now the Rays are they're looking for that wild card right now.
Yeah, I want to see him play in person.
Oh, man. Bro, I mean, the Rays ain't that far. Just call me up. You can come over anytime, or if the Rays play Miami. But, you know, people don't know about Acuna being Venezuelan. Acuna's a stud too, man. That cat is a monster.
He's fun to watch. Great
player. And he crushed one the other day. He's fine. I think he came back too soon. That's a beautiful card, bro. That short.
That's a nice card, James.
Photo variation.
I love the photo variation rookies, man. That's the way to go.
There you go. You want to see a variation right here? Boom.
Oh, yeah, coming out of the dugout? Yeah. Card number 1, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this on someone else's channel, and they said that's a SSP. I'm like, that's an SSP. I actually got this with my Cunha relic auto I got from my son, and this is selling on eBay for like $300. I'm like, that's crazy, man. So
I knew it's crazy because as an old-time collector, you know, you're undecided. What are their true rookie card? Which card? Because there's always going to be one card that's going to be the most valuable, you know, 10 years from now.
Most valuable is different from what's their true rookie card. In some
their true rookie card, or what's it going to be? I mean, because you never know. You know, nowadays, I mean, even if you go back and you look at Canseco, for example, this card here was supposedly his most valuable growing up. I mean, when the hobby was new, and then all of a sudden, it became his update Topps Tiffany. Now is more expensive. You know, and the same thing with Barry Bonds. And if you look back now, what is going to be the card? Because even the Jordan is the 86 Fleer Jordan. I know I'm getting in basketball. Now the star is considered a rookie card.
Nah, the star, yeah.
That's because of that one dude.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? I mean, what is the 2001 Topps traded Pujols update, right? Is that going to be the card for Pujols in the future?
Because there's certain rules in place. Like the Stars card was not a mass-produced. I actually think they produced it and wasn't even sanctioned. It wasn't like trademarked or registered. They just did it, you know. And a lot of people thought it was like a garbage card, you know. Yeah. It's just today you're like, oh, this was an 85 as a star card, and people were making it more than it should be.
Yeah.
That card's been around forever. You could have got it for $20, you know.
Pujols, like this is his flagship, the update.
Flagship will always.
But
will that always be his?
No, if you have the Bowman refractor auto, that trumps
yeah.
everything. That trumps any Pujols card you could have.
Well,
Yeah,
just
true.
because it's rarity too, right? I
But
mean,
it's rare. It's like
rare.
you don't see them that much.
So that's what I'm saying. Rarity and value is different from rookie card.
Mhm.
The
Right.
hobby says 2001 Topps update is his rookie card. It's in a flagship. Is I'm trying to sound like Victor, the rookie card specialist.
All right.
It is distributed nationally. It has the rookie
Card emblem.
Yeah, and his trademark jersey. So those were all the factors in it.
But the Bowman, I think, is recognized as a rookie card, and it's the same year, 2001.
Yeah, you just never see him.
You just never, even the refractor. If you could find the refractor, sometime it goes higher than
Bowman. Which one was the first issue, Update or Bowman? Because I don't think
it's just the 2001 Bowman with the black border.
Yeah, it's not like how they do Bowman now, where first Bowman is like
no.
They
didn't. Right, correct.
That was his
simpler times
rookie card, but like if you have the update, it goes for more than the paper. But if you have the refractor, now we're talking that one trumps the update, and if it's the auto version, forget up $3,000 somewhere around there for that one.
So you consider that auto version to be his best card?
Oh, if you could find that one and you want Pujols, like his main meat and potato one,
right?
I would go for that one all day long.
Right.
Yeah, best cards.
But I mean, people overcharge because they know you can't find it. So you want it now, you're gonna pay my price.
Well, I mean, the thing is like anything, rarity, the person with the leverage is the seller. I mean, when you see it, is the only time you can get it, because the next time you see it will be another 2 years, because usually people who get that, they're keeping it. It's not like a quick flip because it's so rare. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think we can start wrapping this up. But I do want to ask one last question. I mean, we didn't talk about David Ortiz, Mo Rivera. I mean, we didn't talk about Rivera. We didn't talk about we didn't really talk about Molina, Eric Chavez. I mean, my favorite.
How about Mr. 40-40?
Yes, Soriano. I love Mike Labor. Number 5.
Well, that shows how much impact the Hispanic players have in baseball. I mean, we can talk about it for a long time and still forget some players.
Yeah, Rob.
One of the best second basemen ever, Roberto Alomar. We never touched on him.
That's right.
Oh, I love that, Lou. Kmart for the win, yo.
Yeah, you know I love my Kmart, bro.
I know, brother.
And Robbie, here's I think got my Robbie.
Yep. One sec.
I got cards everywhere. I thought it was organized, but I start flipping through and it's just all over the place now. But last question for the night, and it was a pleasure talking baseball with you guys. Got to do it again. But should MLB retire number 21, the great one, Roberto Clemente? And I don't know who wants. Oh yeah, my bad. For the great one. Who wants to take it? I mean, I could tell you what I think, and you guys want to go after that.
Yeah, tell us what you think, man.
So, as great. I mean, I love the man. I love what he stands for. I love what he means to the community, to baseball history, to baseball's culture today. But I am on the other side of the fence. I don't know what Rude Dog is thinking, but I don't think baseball should retire his number. And I'll tell you why. I think his legacy transpires all of that. It touches lives today. And kids today still talk about Clemente. And his legacy still carries on. And kids today are starting to play in the majors in today's era, where they still want to rock 21 and represent Clemente with that jersey number. And I think if Clemente was here today to see his 21 throughout baseball, through the minor leagues, on on the main stage of baseball with some of these superstars who grew up emulating, reading Clemente, I think that will mean more to him. And if we retire that number, I think that takes away a little bit. And I think the way baseball celebrates Clemente is beautiful. I mean, he has an award that's given to, people who try to follow in his footsteps in the humanitarian route. And they still recognize if those players who have won the award want to rock 21, they can, with a special logo. And on Clemente Day, everyone can rock 21, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm on the side of, I think baseball does it classy. They bring attention to the man, the legacy. I don't think it's necessary to retire his number 21. What say you?
I agree. And I think, to further it, I think at the end of the day, 42 should be the only retired number. I mean, I think that 21 should be honored the way that you talked about it. He has a special day. It's huge for the Latin player. It's not just a Latin player number either. You know what I mean? It's like, I think a lot of people can respect him for who he was off the field, what he meant to the game, what he meant to being a humanitarian. I think that they should honor him the way that they do. It's his 50th year of, so I think they should do it even bigger this year. But I think as far as retiring numbers across the board for every league, I think it should stay with 42, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Brent completely. I think 42 should be the only number that we retire. And yeah, I mean, we all love Clemente, but I like what they're doing with it now. Just one day, Clemente Day. And they're still honoring him in many other ways with the awards and everything like that. So I think that's sufficient for that. And, I think if they start retiring numbers, then you're going to start seeing other numbers possibly being retired in the future. And I just think, it's enough. Jackie was the main guy to retire number 4 because he broke the color barrier. But I think that's about it. I think Clemente, has his day and has his awards. Don't retire his number, overall.
I agree. We're living in a culture now where people get up in arms and they pick sides and they want their month, Heritage Month or whatever. Like today is National Laptop Month or something. Like everything is now, it's Glass Month. We got to make a glass. Like, are you kidding me? So if we retire Clemente's number, then someone's going to want Ichiro's number retired. And someone else is going to come out saying, well, what about Guatemalans and Mexicans? And it's just a can of worms where I love that they're honoring his number and everyone wears it and everyone gets to talk about him. And I think it's a great honor and tribute to him. I wouldn't be against it, honestly, if they did do it. It's also a great honor both ways, but to see everyone else cry and complain, why isn't this other number retired? That's the part that would kind of upset me a little bit. So I guess we're living in an era now where, man, you just can't enjoy certain tributes anymore without everyone else saying, what about
being
me?
offended,
what about me?
Me too. Left out. Yeah,
a couple of good things in the chat. Paige and Dina Bean, I hope I pronounced it. It's like, hooray for National Laptop Month. And my boy Don, I actually looked this up. He's like, Hispanics dominate baseball now. It appears that way. When it comes to American-born players, there's 72% of baseball, 1,088. Dominican is in second place with 169 active players, so that's a little over 11%. And next will be Venezuelan with 101. Again, Acuna's probably the best. Well, you still got Miggy, who's a legend, but right now I think Acuna's tops. And then that's followed by Cuban players, which is something I didn't touch on with the WBC because Cuba, there was a little back and forth. A lot of the Cubans of today and MLB wanted to play in the WBC, like the Jose Abreu's, the Cespedes, Chapman. Might have other Cubans. I can't remember. But Cuba was like, definitely not. They defected. They don't represent Cuba. So they're sending their major league. But obviously it's not good as the talent that's in the majors. So that was a little interesting tidbit. Mexico has 17 players, and then it goes down. Colombia has 11. Panama has 9 players. Now, my boy, I don't know. I said my boy, but Yunier Guerrera, I think it says. He was talking about Adrian Gonzalez. We forgot to mention. The thing is, we didn't forget because I obviously have Adrian right here. There's so many great Hispanic players that we grew up watching that are still playing today. Like I said, we didn't even talk about Mo, really. We didn't talk about David Ortiz, Vladdy Guerrero. I got so much fire from Vladdy. Francisco Lindor.
Lindor, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I mean, and this is stuff I had prepared. I mean, Lindor and Baez, Puerto Rico, they're going to be on the Puerto Rico's roster for the WBC.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. I mean, like I prepared to talk about this. Let me show this for your near. So Adrian Gonzalez, beautiful card, great player, but that just goes to show, 2 hours isn't enough to talk about all these great players. So, gentlemen, it was a pleasure talking baseball, pleasure talking history with you guys. Brent, anything you want to close out the chat with?
Yeah, I just, I love this opportunity, and thank you for thinking of me to be able to talk, heritage for Hispanic players. I love what it means to everybody. I think everybody in here, it means something a little different, and I think that's the beauty of it. That this is, it's how it's impacted you, touched your life, how it's connected to you or your family, where you're from, where you live. I think that's the beauty of it. So yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Orlando, what you got, homie?
Just love talking baseball cards with you guys. I mean, it's fun. It's great. I mean, I could talk all day and look at cards all day, really. I mean, it's just fun. And baseball is such a great history, and so many good players now. I think, these new crop of Hispanic players are a lot better than the old Hispanic players. Bigger, stronger, better. I mean, there's going to be a lot more records set by Hispanic players coming up in the future. I'm telling you that.
Golly, I didn't think. Here's some cute. Jordan Alvarez.
Jordan Alvarez, another one, yeah.
Right.
Freshman, hit 3 home runs the other day. Randy Arozarena.
Another Cuban.
Cubano.
Sick, and he's playoff Randy over here in the Tampa Bay area. When the lights are on, he plays his best. And Manoa, his parents are Cuban.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
good future there.
Oh my gosh, James, what you got, homie?
Well, I just want to thank you for including me with this panel. Brent, it was an honor being on with you. I hope you could join me on my show next time.
Heck yeah, dude.
Do a little live stream with you. Orlando, we actually have something planned in the near future. And I wanted Orlando to have his first debut with my boy Lou Rock. And so that was great to have a debut with Lou Rock, Orlando. But I look forward to a future stream with Orlando in the future. And I'm just happy to pay tribute to my heritage, people I have a lot of pride in. And I could honestly say could go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the history of the sport. It's an honor. And I know we don't have as many or it's as deep as other players, but to actually be able to look up and see that someone played in 1902 from Colombia, things like that, it's like uncovering a world that I never even knew existed. And it's all due to a live stream like this that it helps me just get reinvigorated. So Lou, I thank you so much, man. This was fun. The panel was great to be a part of this panel. And thank you to all the viewers too. You guys were so engaged, and it was
absolutely.
So, rip to probably he could have been so great, Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, Brent, you see the logo on the bottom? They messed up. They put a Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, when they put the Mariners on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't even talk
about. It was Felix? I mean, what the heck?
I know. We didn't even talk about Tino.
That's right.
Tino. We didn't talk about the big cat.
Look at that.
We didn't bring up one that should probably be in. Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones, man.
Yeah.
I think
Huda cow.
That's considered. I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I've argued that stance on a couple of live streams. And Miggy,
of course.
Tejada.
2,400 hits, 300 home runs.
MVP
So,
year, man.
Yeah, MVP. So, guys, it was a pleasure. Just want to say thank you for coming on, making time to talk baseball with me. I know we talked about it for a couple of weeks and came together nicely. And I just want to say thank you. Who's that?
Colombia, Edgar Renteria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
He was someone in the chat, I think it was 3D 80s kids, said no one mentioned Jose Uribe with the most junk wax.
Yeah. Oh, the 90 Flair. Was that the one?
Yeah. But I just want to say thank you. And with that, I want to say peace out. Go Yankees.
Thank you, Lou.
Hasta luego.
Yeah.
All good.